The school resource officers, SROs, we have 18. They cover 17 schools. Their main role is pretty much school safety. They're there to protect the people inside that school. While they do that, they develop a lot of relationships. There's a lot of mentoring. So we have a story we'd like to share with you, the 3-generational SRO relationship of students that were in a school with a police officer that mentored them.
My father was a police officer with Oklahoma City for 32 years. I began working at the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Department, and then they began their school resource program. So I was chosen to be in the Crooked Oak schools. I was assigned to the middle school at that time. A lot of law enforcement officers and school resource officers, they go into their job hoping that you can make a difference in somebody's life. I mean, that's the number one thing most of us say. Why do you want to be a police officer? To help somebody. And there's a lot of different circumstances that you don't know if you did or not.
So I went to Crooked Oak High School, Crooked Oak Public Schools. I was a roughneck. It's an unwritten rule there, living in the South Side, the people that I grew up around, that we just didn't like police. But they had these county SROs there. It was law enforcement there, but with their guard down. So we could let our guard down. Without them knowing, without the police officers knowing that they're influencing us, they were. And one of them was Kim Spencer, who's now Teachman. So I've struck up many conversations with her, and I talked to her about law enforcement. There was a lot of kids that were doing drugs, that were in gangs and everything, and I was around all of that. I knew I didn't want to be a part of that. I want to be an athlete, so I was playing football. One of the things that she told me, and I can remember this like if it was yesterday, she told me that Oklahoma City was the best department in the state. I never thought I would become a police officer. I thought I would go into banking or something like that. And I applied and got hired on in 2004.
You could make such an impact and a difference. And I didn't even realize why he came to the city. I asked him once, and then he told me it was me. It really touched my heart because it let me know that, oh, okay, so you know what you were trying to do, really, it did work out.
While I was on patrol, my lieutenant at the time, he called me one time and he said, hey, I think you'd be really good at the SRO position. I got assigned to several middle schools, and my goal was to become a high school SRO. Grant came open, and I started at Grant. I loved working with high school age kids. I loved, being in the halls, having kids come talk to me, just like I talked to Kim, being approachable. There was a weight room. I'd take off my uniform and work out with them, just to show that, hey, we are human too.
So I was born in Oklahoma City. I've been here my whole life, Southwest Oklahoma City. My father passed away. We moved houses. My mom picked up an extra job, so I started helping her with that extra job when I was 13. I went to Jefferson Middle School, just hanging around with the wrong crowd, hanging around with gang members, just doing things I wasn't supposed to be doing. A dark time in my life. And then that's when I went to U.S. Grant High School. And around this time, I was extremely overweight, so I started eating better and working out a little bit. But that wasn't really cutting because I was still hanging around with those friends. I would skip class a lot until I started hanging around with Sergeant Campos, which was the SRO at U.S. Grant High School. He saw that I was really into fitness. He saw that I was motivated into working out, so he reached out to me and a bunch of other my workout buddies during weight class, and would come in and just work out with us on a daily basis. And the more consistent it became, the more I got to realize that he was just a normal person besides being a police officer. And when I graduated, I had my mindset that I wanted to be a police officer. I went to college, got fortunate enough to get hired, and here I am today. Happily married with my high school sweetheart. We've been together for 8 years, married for 2. We are parents of 2 beautiful twin girls. Now I'm in the fact unit working with students, working with the youth, and we're mentors as their friend, and we're there to support them.
And so what you do, directly or indirectly, influences the people that you're around. And that's what I took whenever I was the SRO, whenever I was mentoring Jesse.
Having the SROs in school is actually really important, and I'm a great example why.
I think it's important to have school resource officers in school because it's worth it. It ends up changing you as well, and it impacts you as a person.
The school resource officers play a huge role with the mentoring and the relationship building. It has a far-reaching impact in those students' lives that spread through the community.